Hey everyone, welcome to AHRK Encounter. I'm your host Maha, and I'm so excited to be on this AHRK path with you. We have a special guest back with us here today. She's a VIP and she's embarking on a new journey, which makes her perfect for our topic today. And of course, with our wonderful guide, Casey Cox, together we will encounter vision and goal setting through the lens of mindset. So let's get started on our AHRK journey with this video.
AHRK is the lifestyle path to better choices. It empowers us to live life to the fullest and paves the way for people like you and me to discover our unique purpose and passion. Choosing to walk the AHRK path invites transformation and growth in 5 key areas of life: leadership, communication, mindset, community, and lifestyle. As we dive into these lenses, they redirect our focus and guide us into a deeper understanding of where we're at today and where we're going tomorrow. This is AHRK Encounter. Welcome to the AHRK Path.
Hey, well, welcome to another AHRK Encounter where we will encounter amazing things through our mindset as we look at vision and goal setting. As we look at this lens of mindset, I invite you to recognize that if your mind is not set or fixed on an outcome, it probably will never happen. You know, there's this concept that you miss all the shots you don't take, and some people are just going through life missing out because they're not setting up goals or casting vision. Well, today what we're going to recognize is that if you set a goal but don't have a plan, it's just really a wish. And if you have a plan but you don't put it into action, well, it's a good idea. These are mindset qualities that we're going to unpack as we encounter vision and goal setting with somebody who is ready to take on life. And so back with us is our guest, Natalya Bachoura. Welcome, Natalya. How are you today?
I'm doing super well, Casey. Thanks for having me.
Tell me what's new in your world and why you are the perfect VIP.
What's new in my world? Well, I am just recently graduated from college.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Finished in 3.5 years at Chapman, which was super fun. I got my degree in strategic and corporate communication in Spanish with a minor in business.
Hold on. 3.5 years. Is that a double kind of major?
It is a double kind of major.
All right. So the perfect kind of guest that sets out a vision for accomplishment has a timeline for a double major in 3.5 years at Chapman. We definitely have the right guest. Keep going. I'm just clarifying.
Yes.
I'm impressed.
I loved being at Chapman. I loved being able to study there and get to know the community. And obviously, the past couple years, everything that's been going on, it's been
crazy,
looking a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a ton of fun doing it. And after 3.5 years, and I don't know how many years of schooling, 15, something like that. Now I'm done with school, which is odd.
It's impressive. Now, as we look at our VIP, I want to dive into the V and the I, just the values and the identity, but I want to look at it through the labels you just threw out, the strategic communication
Mm-hmm.
and Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
And even the value of going to Chapman. Talk to me about your values and your identity through that lens, and how did you choose 4 years ago, this is the school I want, this is the major I'm going to do, and now I'm going to bring an emphasis of a language. So take me back 3.5 years. Talk to me about your VIP through now what you have is this piece of paper that says, wow, you're really impressive.
Yeah, I think for me the reason I chose Chapman was because it's closer to home. It's about 35 minutes away when there's no traffic. And I think for me, family is one of my huge values.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, I wanted to be able to come back home for birthdays or holidays or whatever it looked like if I needed to. So when I visited Chapman and I saw the community on campus, I fell in love with it. And I thought that was perfect because I can go home and visit if I want to, and I can also see myself building a real, genuine community on campus. It felt very well built as an environment to support me meeting new people, having small classrooms, not too much of a student-to-teacher ratio, all that.
This is not intended to be a infomercial for
No.
Chapman. You're doing a great job. You're actually casting a vision for somebody to fall in love with something that you love. Keep going.
Yeah, so for me, it was that family aspect, and they had lots of different Christian communities I could get involved with, and just an overall fun downtown area. So because of all those different things that I valued, I decided to go to Chapman, which was super fun. for the past couple years, I got to go to the beach regularly, I got to go to the mountains, I got to go to downtown, I got to meet new
So I'm
people.
going to pause you. As we look at values, you might just be listening, Natalya, sharing as she describes something outside of herself. But I want you to recognize, as we look at values, all of those things live inside Natalya, and then she's able to identify them as an outside match. And that's really what's really powerful as you try to figure out what's your own VIP. Look out in the world and go, what do I love? What do I want? How do I connect with it? And it's going to draw out your values and your identity. All right, I want to move you ahead. Communication in Spanish.
Yes, I chose communication originally because I wanted to go into publishing. I love to read, I love books, I love stories, and because of that, I thought communication was a good in-between to be able to be general enough to apply that to other things, but also study what I enjoy. And then I found strategic and corporate communication, my major at Chapman, and I loved it because it focused on intentional messaging. Like, how do you design messaging to be able to tell your story, or a story of a company, or a story of a product, or whatever it is you want to apply it to. So that's why I chose that one. And then I ended up adding Spanish because I could, and I love the language, and I love being able to communicate what I believe in different languages, different ways. I've always found there are certain words that are better communicated in Spanish than in English, or stuff like that.
And so tipping my hat to knowing your story, Spanish better than Arabic? We won't go there because somebody's going to watch this encounter and not going to call you on it. But what an amazing dialect you have the opportunity from your family culture and background, engaging Arabic, speaking and having all of those things, adding Spanish, using your English. You see the world differently, don't you?
Yeah, I think being able to study, because the Spanish major at Chapman too, it doesn't just study the language, it studies the culture, the history. We get to learn about Latin American history from Middle Ages to now. We get to learn about Spain's history from Middle Ages to now. And you got to kind of hear how the language evolved and adapted and how it was influenced by the culture and the history of what was going on. And I think I really love history.
Okay.
That goes back to stories, I think, with communication as well. But all of that, I think, was something that I really enjoyed and I felt really helped me grow my perspective.
So as we look at your VIP, we transition into looking at an AHRK encounter mindset, this vision, the goal setting. I'm going to bring it all together. Are you done learning?
Absolutely not. I am not done learning yet.
Emphatically no. And the reason why I asked the question, not knowing, I assumed the answer, careful with assuming because that's the opposite of acknowledgement. I can acknowledge I knew your answer because I know you. But what that highlights is the fact that you have a mindset that says learning is essential to life. And it's really one of the reasons why I invited you to come in and say, let's talk about vision and goal setting because you're a lifelong learner. You are a lifelong acknowledgement of saying there's more out there. I want to taste, I want to see, I want to experience the world, and even your major set you up to do that. So let's look at the AHRK encounter. And when we start an AHRK encounter, we always begin with acknowledging what is real. Is your reality everything you perceive it to be, or is there more? And the answer is, well, there is more. We don't know what we don't know. And as we take a breath, as we pause, as we acknowledge what's going on around me, what are my assumptions, and are they getting me in trouble, we encounter this acknowledgement of vision and goal setting. So did you have a goal to graduate in less than 4 years?
I did not, actually. When I was first planning out my college education, I thought graduating early was pointless. I didn't see a reason to do it. I didn't want to do it. But then as I continued taking my classes and I saw that just the way that I had continued working through them, that I really had finished in 3.5 years, I had to decide whether to kind of stretch it out and go through the 4 years or finish in 3.5.
So you've graduated in 3.5. What's your vision? You literally could have gone a little slower, enjoyed a little bit more relaxing. You worked hard through school. You were intense. You had a mindset that said, I can do this and I can do it now. So what's your vision for the next semester that you're not sitting in the classroom?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I decided to move forward with graduating early was because I felt that with this next semester I can use it to learn what I've been interested in learning. There are a ton of things.
Which is?
Yeah, I think one of them is, you mentioned earlier, Arabic. I really wanted to be able to spend time learning Arabic and growing my confidence in the language, but Chapman's program is about it's not so much as a learning how to speak, it's a lot about learning the letters, which isn't what I was interested in. So I'm hoping that over this next semester I can really dive deeper into practicing my Arabic and becoming more fluent and being able to have more complex conversations. So that's definitely one of the big ones for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that you acknowledge? How would I say? A lot of students might look at getting out of college early as a woohoo, I get free time. You're not opposed to free time.
No.
What else do you acknowledge that makes you unique to the world around you?
What else do I acknowledge that makes me unique?
Bring it into mindset and or goal setting, just because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the things is like all throughout my life, I've always envisioned myself learning new things. I know when I was younger, I tried learning Italian for a while. I started French for a while. I love languages. I tried multiple times to join different dance groups and learn how to do that. I think it's always been about trying new things and the adventure of that, just because I felt it's important to be aware of what different things are, like those.
I love it. And I invite you, remember, you don't have to be Natalya. And really, you're not going to be any good at being me. There's only one me, there's only one her, and there's only one you. And as we vision set and we goal and we recognize what's out there, it's really got to come from your VIP inside, because that's how you're going to progress forward. And that moves us from acknowledgement to healing. Sometimes we need to release some shoulds. We need to let go of others' expectations on us to say, you know what, I got to be me. So I'm setting that up. Where are the shoulds? Where are the oughts? Where are the expectations that as you step into the best version of you, you're needing to just say, look, I love the recommendation, the advice, the suggestions. What are you encountering as other people have plans for you in this world? How do you heal and release those things?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a balance of navigating what looks like should be the next step of, you know, starting work, finding that job and kind of moving into it, versus kind of taking my time and figuring out what this next season should look like.
But you're only going to be young once. You gotta really get started and try 3 or 4 things.
Something like that.
I can't believe you're wasting your time. You're so valuable. You could change the world.
Yeah, I think kind of jumping off that point, I can change the world in many
It's
different
time
ways.
for you to get settled down and find that significant relationship. You know I'm playing, and you know I'm playing. These are the shoulds and the oughts. But where do those go? I mean, you're going to vision cast and you're going to goal set, and you have a lot of individuals that want the best for you. How do you find your voice there?
I think it's definitely been a lot of conversation over the past couple of weeks, figuring out what's a good use of time and what's me, as you mentioned earlier, just kind of freely messing around for this next season. But I've definitely been having a lot of, I guess, visionary conversations, trying to figure out what I can plausibly do in this next semester, what different goals I can reach, and how I can kind of work toward those in a way that is both fun but also productive and moving me forward.
So we're not gonna spend too much time here. I want to go into the restoration. I want to go back to your major, communication. It was strategic. What was the other word?
Strategic and corporate communication.
Strategic and corporate. I knew that word was important. Help us understand what you've learned. A lot of times people think about vision and goal setting, and they think about from a corporate lens. The business has a vision. Every year you set the goals of the budget and those kind of things. How are you bringing that in? How does that connect with your major of communication? And here you are talking into mindset. So it's not just about what you're going to communicate, but how do you see business rising and falling based on visions and goals?
How do I see business rising and falling based on goals?
Do you see it? What's the impact of a business not setting goals?
I think when a business doesn't set goals, you end up just kind of moving through the motions. There's like lots of rhythms, different structures that get set in place, different protocols, whatever that looks like. And when you're just moving through them casually, you don't tend to really experience all that you could experience when you kind of set goals to move towards something. I know with communication, one of the things that we talked a lot about was being very intentional about knowing your audience, knowing where you want to be, and figuring out those steps of how to get there. And I think when you're not setting goals or having some big vision that you're working toward, it ends up being that you miss a lot of potential for where you could end up if you put those thoughts into it.
So I'm going to now move that, take what you just said and bring it personally, not just for you, but for our listeners, for me. What I heard you say was that if you don't set goals, you're going through the motions and you're going to miss the things that were available for you. How does that play out in an AHRK experience?
Well, I think personally, there are a lot of different goals that I've always just dreamt up, different things. I want to be able to learn self-defense, learn some sort of thing. I want to be able to learn Arabic and speak with my grandparents in real conversation. I want to be able to travel and see different places and do different things. But having those dreams can be overwhelming, you know, and it tends to kind of be like, oh, that can never happen because there's too much I'm trying to do. The world is busy. I have to work. I have to find a relationship, whatever, you know, those shoulds that people throw at you.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. But I think by setting goals on what's realistically plausible over the course of the next couple of months or the years, that I can actually make progress without kind of giving up over and over again.
Love that. And what I would give to you is as we spent a lot of time unpacking the values that Natalya is expressing and how she sees them out in front, it's not that shoulds are good or bad. In fact, we take a should from somebody else, but if it lives in us as a value, it's no longer a should, it's a want. And so my invitation as we talk about vision and goal setting, if you're feeling like everybody is shoulding on you, recognize you might just be missing out on your values. Because if somebody comes to Natalya and says, Natalya, I think you should travel the world, would that feel like a should?
Not to me, it wouldn't. I should travel the world.
Because you're going, no, that's my value, that's my desire. And so restoration isn't saying shoulds are bad. Restoration is being able to clarify what does progress look like for you. And so progress for you, Natalya, in this season is I want to understand Arabic and I want to speak it fluently. I want to understand culture. I want to reach out and try new things and really push into my next steps. That's what I'm hearing today. Is that right?
Yeah.
So take me 6 months from now. If the visions and goals that you have in the next 6 months are completed, how are you a different person? What are you like in 6 months so we can know what that VIP kingdom encounter really looks like in 6 months?
Yeah, I think for me, in 6 months, I'm going to be able to.
Love the mindset shift. Well done.
I am really looking forward to being able to have those real conversations with people. And I think learning, for example, Arabic, it is about learning the language, but it's also so much about there's a joy in being able to connect with my heritage in that way, in the culture, and be able to kind of experience that culture in a new way. Because being able to speak the language fluently, I think there's a different understanding to the culture in itself.
So as you picture yourself in 6 months, you are living into the fullness of your identity. We call that a lifestyle of better choices. And so as you lay out the choices that you're going to make, I bring to you, what does a better 6-month journey look like for you? Do you recognize that there's hope for you to say, I could change, I could be different? Natalya's graduated, but she's not done. And we invite you today, let's not be done. Let's not stop, but rather let's pick up this path and say, I'm going to walk according to the AHRK path. Well, welcome today to a little bit of a mindset and a shift for you to have vision and goal setting as a way of life. So join us on the AHRK path over and over again. And here's Maha to tell you how.
Well, how amazing is Natalya? Her tenacity and her drive to learn just inspired me to revisit my goals and my visions. And that's what I love about AHRK. Each interview impacts me so differently. So if this is your first time with us, I invite you, find another video as it might inspire you in a new way. And I want to invite you to join our social community. You could find our Instagram, Facebook group, and YouTube channel at AHRK Path. And for most updated resources, you could visit arcpath.com. And we have more. We have courses and podcasts to keep you going and keep you inspired. And you could find those things on our app called Circles Now. Friends, it's been a pleasure to be with you. I'm your host, Maha, and I hope to see you next time on AHRK Encounter.